Chloroplast looks something like this. It's double-membraned organelle, meaning you have an outer and inner membrane. The outer membrane, it's this one here, that's the inner membrane. What really matters to us to here is the inner structures we have inside the chloroplast. So you have those stacks of membrane. Each one of these is what we call a thylakoid. So each one of those membranes I have here is what I call a thylakoid. I have this jelly-like stuff I have here inside the chloroplast. I call that a stroma. Think of the stroma as this cytoplasm inside the chloroplast. I also have that lamella thing. Was this lamella? Lamella is what links up the thylakoids. Think of thylakoids like solar panels. Those solar panels have to be facing the light all the time. As long as the light is there, the thylakoids would be tilted, will be moved around so that they can absorb as much light as possible. So those lamellae allow this to happen, allows the thylakoids to be in the right position to absorb as much light. So again, I always think of the thylakoids, I imagine the thylakoids as like plates, and those plates are stacked. What I call the stack here, the stack itself is known as a granum. Plural is grana. Okay, so that's a granum. You have the lamella that puts the thylakoids in the right position, and the thylakoids themselves. Thylakoids is the place where we have the chlorophyll. That's where we have the pigment chlorophyll for photosynthesis. Now, chloroplasts have like a prokaryotic bacterial origin. Basically, sometime in the past, I'm talking millions of years back, there was like a eukaryotic cell, the bigger cell here, engulfing a small bacterium. This bacterium now turned out to become the mitochondrion. And this one on the left, on the other hand, this was engulfed, and it became what? It became the current chloroplast. Again, there was a photosynthetic bacterium that has chlorophyll, was engulfed by an eukaryotic cell. It became the current chloroplast. What evidence do we have of this theory? The evidence comes from the chloroplast itself. If you look inside the chloroplast, you find a lot of evidence. You find that there are ribosomes. Do you see those circles? Those are ribosomes. Plus, there is circular DNA inside the chloroplast. So all of this tells you what? Tells you that the chloroplast must have been prokaryotic somewhere in the past. I still have like one more evidence here. The last evidence here of its origin is the double membrane. How? Note that when it was engulfed, there was a vesicle, and that vesicle still there as the outer membrane. The inner membrane is the membrane of the chloroplast itself. Okay? You have any question about the chloroplast? Now, we have a term here a new term for us here is what we call compartmentalization. What does compartmentalization mean? It means that the cells try their best to do what? To isolate processes inside the cell. So look, chloroplast as a whole is where photosynthesis happens. Still, inside the chloroplast, there are special rooms or compartments where processes within photosynthesis take place. What do I mean here? It means that we will divide the chloroplast into two regions. The stroma, that's the jelly stuff here. The stroma is where what we call the light-independent reactions take place. All right? Meaning what? Meaning that those are the reactions that can occur in the light or in the dark. So these reactions that occur in the stroma, part of photosynthesis that doesn't really require light. But the thylakoid itself, we're going to call it the site of light-dependent reactions. Meaning, inside the chloroplast, I have, although it's like tiny, although it's like very, very small, within the chloroplast, we have two compartments. And that's meant for what? That's meant to increase the efficiency of photosynthesis. All right? And that doesn't only apply to this process, it applies to all the things we study inside the cell or in biology. There's always, within the cell or within the organelle, there are always special locations where separate processes happen here. Okay?